Okay, hello everyone. I hope we're live already. Let me just pull up chat, pull up the review itself, and I guess we should start right away. Uh, Welcome to the stream, Big Pew. Apparently, Evil Bookman will have to leave, and he will only be able to participate later. Good luck on your work. Um, Hello, Kodokunasu, and welcome Arma to the stream. Couldn't go to church today, for better or for worse, huh? Hmm. Very well. Let us start right away then. No more dilly dallying. Hello? Okay. Now we'll start out. How do I do this? Sorry, I'm still a bit tired. But the point is, the structure of this will be like this. I'll start reading it. Like I'll start reading from the first paragraphs of the review now. Then occasionally I'll stop to commentate and give you guys a opportunity to um like give your own arguments, and then we're going to continue more or less with that structure. So for now, I'm going to start with the first paragraph. Fuck you, Arma. But anyway, now Madoka Magica, which I shall refer to as MM for time's sake, is an anime hailed as being a cornerstone to the entire genre, with an amazing plot, story, characters, art, and LGBT representation. That caught me so much by surprise the first time I read that. Like, what? Whatever. Let's continue. But does it hold up? Absolutely not. However, first let's understand the basic premise. It is a subversion of the magical girl anime, which instead of cute girls fighting evil, they still do that, but all die horrible deaths in a messed up system. While I'm writing this with a prerequisite that you've either finished or are watching MM at the moment, uh, I'll do this regardless to jog the memory, but I do recommend rewatching this before reading this paper or when I analyze all the characters, that you'd watch at least 3 episodes per character. Uh, kind of whatever, I'm not commenting on this. Of course, only a recommendation, as if it were in my hands, I would say never watch this horrid show in the first place. On the same note, you probably know about anime enough when I make references that they will make sense, but again, just in case, I'll use many popular ones to hopefully relate to many viewers. What is my point with this? To point out how absurdly overrated the show is and bring attention to the overall bias of anime fans. This shall prove why the show fails at almost everything due to its reliance on dark themes and its inability to write anything compelling or realistic. It's kind of difficult to comment on this because we still haven't gotten to the specifics yet. So I think we should advance a bit more for me to start genuinely commenting on it, like give a chance to for them to explain their points before I start talking shit. But for now, oh, hello Movelea, welcome to the stream. And it sure does have LGBTQ representation. Okay. uh haven't watched Madoka ever, so this is my first view. Already already off to a great start, I swear. Anyway, is Madoka edge slop? Yes. I actually read recently that Gen Urobuchi said in an interview that Homura's love for Madoka is more powerful than romantic. It's friendship. Was cool to see someone say friendship can be more meaningful than romance. Hmm, pretty interesting, honestly. But yeah, for now we're going to continue. Before I begin this, please have grace on me due to the fact that this is my first longer essay. In fact, this is more of a script than an essay. I mean to offend no one with any wording I may use, as it's a mix of exaggeration and the overall way I actually speak. Any comments on mental illness or mental disability are purely for jokes, and I mean to offend no one suffering from mental illness or disability. I also suffer I, in fact, also suffer from mental disabilities. With all that said, please do rewatch Madoka Magica while applying all my points before any attempt to debunk me, and forgive me if anyone is offended, for it was unintentional. Basically, this is just Arma covering their ass, like saying, "Oh no, these are just joke, guys. Please don't take me seriously." But anyway, let's get on with the meat and potatoes of this. First, on the chopping board, let's talk about what it did right in my book, as I'm not a blind hater. In terms of art, it is one of, if not the best series I've ever watched. The colors are so vibrant that I feel jealous as a writer. I can't properly convey how beautiful it is. The animation is constant and at times up there with actual shonen series. God, am I old? Because if you guys don't know, uh, like Madoka Magica has some pretty good animation, but only in the Blu-ray version. Because like for the OGs in the audience, they'll know that actual like OG Madoka had actually one of the shittiest animations of pretty much anything of its time. So much so that it became a meme to screenshot like poorly draw panels of Madoka in order to make like kind of those how do I say it, kind of joke summaries about the anime, the whole Meguka stuff. Obviously, I agree with Arma that the Blu-ray kind of remastered version has some great animation. They really uh, like improved a lot in that. But just kind of pointing out a fun fact to show how old I actually am. That I remember the original animation for this shit. Anyway, the soundtrack is so elegant. I listen to it despite hating the show due to how grand it simply is. So why is it still bad? Well, this has many issues, funny enough. And the first comes from how good it looks. Unfortunately, anime fans suck at making good opinions since pretty lights to them means a good show. It's less anime fans and more shonen specifically. But anyway, on this note, the first issue is the fact that it draws in those people. Is it bad to have good art? Good art? Heck no. Is it bad to have amazing art with a story with as much depth as a kiddie pool? Absolutely. It's like the bait of anime. Give them good visuals to ignore how much the show is straight up bad. And it works. Look at Solo Leveling. Just proving my point there. Despite having the same complexity as a Goku fanfiction you'd see a kindergartner make, it still has fans because of the amazing animation. Not only that, however, it feels wasted. Imagine eating an apple that looks crispy and it's rotten. That's what it is. You get baited, take it, and then uh, is left with a horrible feeling. The worst part being this works on so many people. It's easy to act like something is complex when you get blasted with symbolic imagery and color. When you wipe it all away, it's just an edgy teenage girl who's actually an adult woman. Yeah, no. Are you reviewing Madoka Magica or Silent Hill F? Sorry, I just had to. Uh, But this is my issue with a lot of so-called mindfuck anime, right? That's why I even made that whole video in the first place that I talked about, like why I generally dislike mindfuck anime, because I see this problem a lot in like a lot of them. But again, we're all still way too general for me to really comment. So let's begin. Also, I forgot to say, welcome to the stream, Otakami. I'm going to read like another paragraph, then maybe comment on it, and then I'll get you your comments since there seems to be a like pretty interesting discussion going on. Mm, Anyway, okay, you got a basic reason as to why. While the art is good, the story is bad, and so the art is wasted. But then, why is the story bad? If I can't explain my points, then if I can't explain that, then my first point falls flat, right? Well, it's not hard to prove. Let's examine every character slash plot device one by one, shall we? Why are you reading a review of an anime you haven't watched? What? I watched Madoka Magica. I watched the very first version of Madoka Magica. What the hell are you? What the hell do you mean, Muvele? Like I'm reading a review of an anime I did watch. Like what? What I'm saying is that I can't comment much because like this person, the person that wrote the review hasn't got into the specifics yet. Like so I can't really like say much because they haven't gotten to their points. Like I did watch the anime. That's why I'm reading the review. Like what are you talking about, Muvela? Anyway, moving on. Mami Tomoe. In the first episode, she's shown as a cool older girl who's a magical girl. Nothing too crazy, a bit basic, but it works, right? Heck no. Now, you see, this could work in theory, but she's fodder. Let's understand the basic backstory. She got in a car crash where her mom and pops died, and the main villain, Kyubei, made a contract to make her a magical girl. Cool beans. She's been a magical girl for a while and wants to help our MC and her friend. You already know this, so why is she such a letdown? Do you know the term jobbing? It's when a character is hyped up to be strong so they can lose and hype up another character. Mami is a jobber. She's apparently been fighting so long, apparently so good, apparently she's so responsible she can live by herself as only I think to be 16. We then see her beat up a fodder witch with no name, no aura, no merit, zero feet, zero swag, and exists to be pissed on and slapped. That's how you know you're reading a Zoomer review, I swear. I almost just offed myself just reading that part. Anyway, she then dies to a witch because this absolute fraud could not realize it's gonna attack again, despite fighting witches for so long. Now you could say that they were a very strong witch, but they get power gapped so hard it's not funny. Literally free eats. Mummy getting mangled despite the apparent experience and power, leads to her fail at existing. You could again say maybe it's to show how brutal the world is, but we didn't need this. It's already a story about grooming, cycles, and obsession and helplessness. A girl getting fatherized in the third episode wasn't needed, so let's call her what she is. We'll call her 007. Zero feats, zero plot relevance, 7 times she's hyped up by the anime. Okay, let's get into this because this gets into a point I don't agree with completely, but that's still interesting to analyze. Because in terms of like the fight itself with Mami, I really was disappointed by it. Not because Mami lost necessarily, but well, Mufele makes a good point there, but again, I'll get to that later. Uh, I don't think Mami losing to demonstrate like how brutal the show is like unnecessary because sorry because like how do I say this, because an anime simply being said and it being brutal like it's two different worlds, right? Like the whole thing about grooming and cycles and things like that. That serves to review the kind of depressing and kind of, how would I say it, materialistic. mm, I'm not remembering the exact word, but it's uh, a world that is not ideal. It's a world that's very much akin to our own. It's very depressing. It's very like unfair, etc. And those themes serve to show that, but Mami's death serves to show how brutal the world is. This isn't your typical magical girl anime where their villains are kind of jokes and like aren't seriously trying to hurt or protect. No, this is a series where like the magical girls die. They die brutally, and that's what this is trying to show. As for Mami's death itself, I feel like it's a how do I say this? It's a good thing that's not executed quite well because when she dies, she's literally surprised. She thinks that she got the witch, and then the witch surprise attacks her, right? And kind of kills her in one blow. That I will agree was really disappointing. What I think should have happened is that the fight should have been a lot more um like dragged out. Like we see Mami struggling, we see her trying her best to deal with the witch, but she's simply like unable to. And then she gets progressively more tired and more like hurt until the actual final blow, right? Because the fight itself is very disappointing. It seems like Mami is just completely demolishing this witch, and then she just hits her with a surprise attack that, given how like mobile, how experienced and agile and like how would I say this, and how just overall uh competent we see Mami being, like the fact that she is like finished off by such a slow moving, like simple and single attack is just, it doesn't work for me. I feel like Mami dying isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the fight should have gone differently, I think. Another thing is that I don't think that Mami dying to like hype up Homura is also necessarily a bad thing. Like jobbing is a thing that can be used quite effectively. Heck, the show uh, Arma likes, for example, Bleach. Oh, hello, Shadow Master. Welcome to the stream. Bleach uses this a lot. We see like a lot of characters lose before Ichigo arrives and like deals with the problem. This is to hype up how strong a villain is, right? So that trope isn't necessarily bad. I also don't think Mami is necessarily um wait just a sec. I don't think that she is necessarily a bad character. We understand through her a lot in a very subtle way about the nature of the contracts in that world. We understand, like, we're from her first introduced to the concept of wishes. She serves as a great role model character for the girls in order for them to understand both through her victories, like what being a magical girl is, and to her failures, like the bad parts of it. It's a great character to kind of introduce us to the world while still having a story of her own. There are certainly flaws in the execution, um, but I don't think necessarily that Mami is too bad a character, personally. Is this Arma's review? Yes. Are you familiar with the Worf effect? Anyway, but seriously, now I'll be going. One sec. Now I'll be going over some of your comments before continuing on to an analysis of Madoka. Anyway, almost everything Uro Butcher makes is edge slop. Otakami already just came to the stream swinging with his bad takes, I swear. Anyway, it's so hard being a fan of Gen Urobuchi these days, I swear. That's boring. I'm just going to go on Tumblr and argue with people telling them that it's obvious they're fucking. This Gaul thing, you're cancelled, bruv. Jen is just trolling at this point, Muvalea. Madoka and Homura are explicitly not fucking. That's the whole problem. Show the site where you're reading the review, little bro, on screen. Dude, I'm reading this review off of a document. This is Arma's review. It's not from like my anime list or some shit. But you know what? If you want me to like, let me just do this. Okay, would you guys prefer this? Is this good? Do you actually want to wait a sec? Would you guys actually prefer if I had the review on screen here or no? Like give your opinions and if not then I'll take it out the screen. But um if you think this is better then I'll keep it here. But anyway, I was watching the Blu-ray, so IG. Okay. Meguka, sorry. Is that your really is that your idea of Madoka that it looks bad? No, no, that is not the point. You missed the point. I don't think that Madoka looks bad. I'm just commenting on the animation of the original. Madoka is a shonen. What is this person on about? Again, I was just making a little joke about shonen fans. However, it's interesting to see. Like because I never thought of Madoka as either a shonen or a shoujo. It seems like the kind of anime that could appeal to anyone. So I kind of don't care. Like, if it is a shonen, if it isn't, it doesn't change much for me, nor for this review. But anyway, don't remember it being that bad. The TV version weren't Meguka memes from screen caps of the characters being far away from the screen, hence why they look like scribbles. No, but the animation was actually pretty bad. Uh, Look at Solo. Like, this is true, Otakami, but the animation was also pretty bad. Yeah, the memes are the exception frames and low detail ones. Again, I'm talking about the original. Like they made if you've seen Madoka and it had good animation, you probably seen the Blu-ray. The actual first version of the anime was notorious for having a pretty bad animation. I don't think the target audience were teenager boys. Mm. Again, I don't see how this is relevant at all, but whatever. Why are you reading a review of an anime you haven't watched? Wouldn't it make more sense to assess it after knowing what they're talking about? Again, I have watched Madoka, so I don't know what you're talking about. If you think the gender of the main character determines the demographic, you're mistaken about the way demographics work. Yes, like there are plenty of anime that are uh, like all boys and like they only have male characters and they're shoujos. And there are plenty of anime that only have girls and are shonens. Like you I don't know who you're talking to or who you're arguing with. I'm not making any of the points you seem to think I'm making. I really don't get your points here, honestly. But anyway, uh, when okay, bruh, OMG is a power scaling. Uh, no name. It literally has a name. Bro has no fucking idea what he's talking about. When he says no name, he means it's not relevant. Like you're being pedantic about this. Yes, it has a name, but like when he means no name, he doesn't literally mean that it has no name. It's just that she's not a relevant witch to the story. But anyway, not the anime. So you have seen it? Yes, I have. Are you talking about my comment regarding the target audience? Yeah. Okay. So they're talking to Otakami here, so that's why it felt kind of weird because I hadn't said those things. But so yeah, I apologize, Muvale. Like now it makes sense your comments. Yeah. Okay. Then then scroll up and read my comment again, slowly actually paying attention this time. Anyway, okay. What is even happening here at this point? Whatever, let's just continue. I was trying to find where the manga adaptation and spin offs were published, but I couldn't get a glance, so I'll look at it again later. So we see eye to eye. Okay. I don't know the context since I didn't watch Madoka Magica, but this is just. One sec. But is this just JJK syndrome or a Kamega kill syndrome if you're old, where you kill characters just to keep things interesting? No, it's absolutely not like that. It has a point to kill the characters. Okay, I think teenage boys were, and a lot of teenage boys did get into it, specifically for being a dark take on magical girls. I should know I was one of them. Okay. Uh, let me. Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, basically, but me and OA agree. Mummy's death has definitely not aged well. True. Okay. Death's nothing. Every work aimed at a specific audience can be liked by people outside of it. The target audience of Madoka still are young adults and veteran fans of the Mahou shoujo genre. You really think there are any girls, there are any boys that liked Mahou shoujo? Like, do you know how many boys were into Sailor Moon, my man? Do you know how much like uh very explicit art of like pre-Q characters there is, and that art is pretty old, so I guarantee you most of it wasn't drawn by women like it is today. So yeah, I don't think uh Madoka Magica is necessarily a shonen, but it doesn't need to be a shoujo either. Again, I really don't see how any of this is relevant. Like, okay, it's a shonen, it's a shoujo, whatever. Did you enjoy it? Then what's the fucking point? I really don't get like the point of this whole squabble between you guys. Like, what does it fucking matter if it's a shonen or not? Like, anyway. Like, did you know that Muvela that almost half of Precure fans are 40-year-old men? Uh, yes, but wait, aren't you just proving their points that like and again, like just because Madoka Magica is a shoujo doesn't mean that like the like that okay, just a sec. Just because most magical girl animes are shoujos doesn't mean that Madoka Magica necessarily is a shoujo, you know? And again, I don't see how this like why this matters, and two, like I really think you're just wrong. Like, I get your point that something can be a shoujo while having a lot of men enjoy it, but again, just because a lot of magical girl anime are shoujo doesn't mean that Madoka Magica has to be one. Heck, Madoka Magica kicked off the dark magical girl genre, which is mostly published nowadays in shonen magazines. So again, I really don't get why any of this matters, but whatever. Sir Faber, welcome to the stream. My whole shoujo are not inherently shoujo series. It's a misunderstanding of the terms. Uh, Especially nowadays, you're right, but I feel like in the past it was mostly for girls, yeah. The only good thing Jan made is Fate Zero. The Sayano Uta fan and me is screaming, I swear. Madoka is good, that's what I heard. You should never just have an opinion based on what content creators are saying or what communities are saying. Go watch the anime and make up your own opinions, okay? Epstein killed the Yuri fandom, Lamar. Can we not talk about that? For the love of God, what is this comment section? Haven't seen it, but a lot have said that it's better than my whole shoujo site. I mean, my whole shoujo site is like pure garbage, so this isn't really like an in, this isn't really like this doesn't prove much of a point, you know. And I do love my whole shoujo site. Fair. Yeah, Slop has entered the chat. One Slop is real. It's also better than Yuki Yuna is a hero. Now can go fuck yourself, Muvalea. Yuki Yuna is a hero. Uh, like, it's my gen, okay? You don't insult Yuki Yuna as a hero on this comment section. Yeah, I want to see the review on screen. I want to see it on screen. A review from my anime list? No, it's a review from Arma, a person that's seen this comment section. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not confusing shoujo demographic with mahou shoujo. A genre can be made for any demographic. Yes, I agree. Mahou shoujo, it might fall under psychological horror. Fucking hell. Like Pupa, Serial Experiment Slaying, etc. Shoujo, shonen, blah 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 blah. It's not relevant to this live itself. I was just correcting. Apologies for confirming your familiarity with the show. Maybe my stands are lower. Even not the Blu-ray look great to me. A lot of this is subjective. Like, I saw the animation and it looked like trash to me until the Blu-ray. Like, if you saw it and it looked good to you, like, good for you. I not here to prove anyone wrong on this. Like, I really just don't care that much. Like, I was just talking about, just like with, just as always, I was just talking about my experience, but my experience isn't any more important than anyone else's, you know. Uh, okay. Obscure anime, the at signs don't appear to you there. I use them to show who I'm replying to. Uh, I saw that again. I'm sorry. Like, I understood now that you're both like talking to each other. I'm very sorry for the initial confusion, but yeah, they do appear to me. Mahou shoujo is a genre for true men. Yes, can confirm. As a young boy, I loved watching magical girl shows. Only stopped after my dad found out. You're a pussy, Arma. Real man. Like, continue watching my whole shoujo despite what their parents think. It's not relevant. I just got stun locked. Sorry. It was cause the review said something about like a real show, like a shonen. Uh, no, he's just comparing Madoka Magica to a shonen. He isn't necessarily saying it is a shonen. Like, he isn't talking about this one way or the other. It did not kick off the dark magical girl genre. It was just one of the ones that got the most popular outside hardcore magical girl fans. Okay, fair. People who only knew Sailor Moon and hadn't even seen Sailor Moon said Madoka was the first dark magical girl. I stand corrected then. Okay. Yuki Yuna could have been so much better. I liked it, but saw so many missed opportunities. Okay, that's fair. I know it's not relevant to the stream since it's about a review, but I couldn't hold myself back. The result audience and the target audience are two different things, and I hate that people can tell the difference. Not even result audience, just an extra additional audience. Then show where the creators targeted just little girls. Again, this isn't relevant. You guys can squabble amongst yourselves, but from now on, I won't be reading like that conversation anymore unless you're actually commenting something about the review. Also, genres are becoming very diluted since creators are focusing on maximum number of buyers than only grabbing specific audiences, sadly. This isn't true of Japanese people, still, from what I've seen. But yeah, welcome to the stream, Generico. I think a lot of people misinterpret what Madoka is about, since people just look at Homura and Madoka and just assume it's a Yuri anime when there's more to it. No one said anything about. Whatever, let's just keep the points. As it's mostly just commentates on how women can be easily manipulated in media mass production. Huh? Say that to Mappa, lol. Again, I'm talking about the majority. Mappa is Mappa. Commentates on how women can be easily manipulated. I'm not even gonna comment on that, but mass media production, fair. Anyway, let's move on with the review already. Madoka Kaname herself, dang, what a waste. She isn't as annoying as the rest, but her issues come from how shallow she is. Almost Mary Sue territory. Honestly, it's hard to give a rundown on her. She's just existing for almost the entire anime. She's the main character, I guess. In a way that's so bland, she makes me think water has taste. So I'll try my best. In the first episode, she does nothing. Second one, she does nothing. Third, she does nothing. Fourth, etc. Her personality is constantly almost uh one sec. Her personality is constantly almost a template of the timid anime girl, and it gets annoying fast. But I don't insult it too hard since some people find it cute. It's just okay. Let me put into why wouldn't you comment on the show talking about the manipulation exploitation of young girls? No, no, no. I'm not saying that you can't comment on this. It's just that like how Shadow Master said it, like how women can be easily manipulated, just felt wrong. But if you put it that way, that it's a show commenting about the manipulation and exploitation of young girls, yeah, that is one of the themes of the show, yes, and it deserves to be talked about. I just didn't like how he put it, you know? That's what I mean. Arma, did you really use Dang? Yes, he's a Zoomer. He's 16 years old. Like, you can expect much from him. Yeah, I'm done with that convo 2 away. Sorry for the railing chat. Move Alea ain't even bothering to pay attention to what I'm saying. So yeah, let's just move on. It doesn't matter. Let's whatever. In my opinion, it's not how about how women can be easily manipulated, but false promises that are always made to younger, more impressionable people at the cost of unwritten conditions that are not explicitly told to them, to reap as much benefit from young people as possible. Yeah, like it can be used as a more generalized message too, and I think it still works. I agree, Fischel. But anyway, okay, let me put into perspective how nothing of a person she is. She's in the limbo of a plot device, Mary Sue, and what I call main character vessel, where the MC lacks so much of a personality is either for the reader to project themselves onto them or allow them to slip into any part of the start because the character doesn't have to worry about feeling out of place. In the same way, water never feels out of place because it lacks a form. Why is this, you may ask? Well, because in the anime you get this timid, immature act, which I guess you could say it's realistic. Though, because we barely have any background knowledge, it just seems like an archetype rather than having meaning. When you see characters in fiction, a pain point is their personality, crafted by their life. We don't know anything about Madoka's early life. Uh, one sec. Mind you, she has a loving family and friends. I'm not saying being timid is always an issue or caused by things, but being this introverted is not that common naturally. But okay, let's grant her that she's naturally that way. A big issue. At the end of the story, she sacrificed herself for Homura. Wait, see how that doesn't add up? A girl who never fights, is always scared, has never been shown to even want this or have the willpower to do such a thing, is able to. Sure, you can use the Homura flashback, but that Madoka is not the current one, since we know that Madoka was a magical girl for a while, so she naturally broke out of her shell a bit. If this was the case, I wouldn't say a thing. But where did this come from? You could say watching which Sayaka die drove her this way, but then again, she didn't seem to have that will. Via why the insane switch up was strange. Even more so by the fact that she knows how to do this. Madoka, how the absolute hell is this 14-year-old girl who looks 100 pounds? Is that pounds? Whatever. Or so, with the muscle mass of a literal child, able to walk all the way through a hurricane. No, seriously, look at her. Even if I grant she's physically able to, by insane luck, she never was like this. Let me grant this. If we had knowledge of her as a kid, her being the self-sacrificing, maybe I can defend it, but we don't. After we have Madoka, Goddess Madoka Sin, which is just, yeah, I can't anymore. Next character. Okay, I'm going to need you, Arma, to justify this like Goddess Madoka criticism a bit better. But let me just go over this. Like, I agree with what Muvale is saying that it's not exactly things that happened before. Like, it's the show and what she goes through in the show that pushes her to make that decision. Like, it's all the tragedy she's seen, all the things she's discovered, everything she and her friends have been through. Like, that's what pushes her at the end of the anime to make that choice and to decide that that's her wish to essentially erase witches and like give magical girls, like to reduce the suffering of magical girls. So you're not meant to see this as something that Prime Madoka, the Madoka of like before the show would do. Is a result of what happens during the show. That uh, that's why she does that. Okay, so that's one point. The other point is that this whole thing of her walking through a hurricane is kind of a nitpick. Like, the whole thing is like so magical and like out of the realm of reality that you're not meant to see it as her like walking through a hurricane, especially because like uh Walpurgis Snatch, like I think uh it's the name of the powerful witch. She's not really causing a hurricane. You could interpret it more as like you know in Elden Ring, like the final level with the floating platforms. That's basically a better representation of what's happening. So this is a nitpick and one that doesn't really make much sense. What I'll say though is that like Madoka, is not a good protagonist. Like, I'll say that. I don't think Madoka is a good protagonist. Because, just like said here, she is not a very active person. Like, it's not a problem to have characters that don't do much stuff, characters that are kind of dragged by the plot. Like, these kinds of characters existing is not the issue, but then being the protagonist is the issue. Because it's very frustrating to see a protagonist that just stands back and does nothing on their own. They have no agency, they don't take action, they're kind of just dragged along by the story. Like, and Madoka is kind of this way. Like, the events of the story, like what she experiences. Pretty much the whole thing is just her experiencing other characters to make decisions and like following other characters as they go to make their decisions. She's never an acting force up until the end, you know? And I get that this is the point that they're trying to make, that Madoka, through her experiences, is progressing to that final wish. But, and again, that kind of character existing is not an issue. But that kind of character being your protagonist is very uncompelling. Like, whenever you're going to decide on the protagonist for your story, you have to make them someone who is willing to take action, you know. You can have more passive characters in the story and they can even be relevant, but they shouldn't be the protagonist. And like, you can see that because they change perspectives, especially from the halfway point of the anime onwards. They will change the perspectives constantly to more active characters like Sayaka, like um Kyoko, like Homura, and whenever we switch the perspective to a more active character, just someone that's making decisions, that's driving the plot forward by themselves instead of just experiencing things, um, the show becomes a lot better. And so, what I'll say is this: Madoka is not necessarily a bad character, but she's a really uncompelling protagonist. And so, like, I really uh think that we should have, like, in general, like they did from the halfway point onwards, focused on more active characters and left Madoka as kind of an important character but a more secondary one. That I'll agree with. Now let's tackle Sayaka Miki, and then I'll go read the comments again. Sayaka Miki, I have pure hate for this bundle of bad writing. Oh my goodness, it's not even funny. I can't even use the 007 format because she's so worthless, she genuinely has no merit. Zero writing, zero relevance, 7 times I've audibly sighed watching her on screen. So why does she suck so much? Is she a jobber? No, she doesn't even have the enough statements to job. Is she a villain? I wish I could call her that. Is she a sympathy merchant? Ding ding ding, correct. Okay, let me do my best to explain her without getting angry. She is also in the episode as her best friend Madoka, or main character. She's pretty normal for her age, though we get no signs of her parents, but it isn't elaborated on if that's on purpose or the anime forgot to add that. After getting power, she realizes this magical girl stuff isn't a game, after Kyubei makes a deal with her. See, she heals her crush, and she becomes a magical girl. She then realizes the soul gen was not a joke. That's actually her soul, and her body is barely hers anymore. After this, her crush goes to another girl. She loses it, fighting recklessly, not caring to heal herself, and pushing away others that care for her until she's a witch. That sounds good, right? Absolutely not. First, she does absolutely nothing but exist for the first 5 episodes, and after that becomes a crybaby. I know they're like 14, but that's an issue I'll touch on later as to why it doesn't matter. Let's see. She saw mommy die as a magical girl, so she already knew the risk. The boy she loved, while yes, hospitalized, wasn't a cancer patient, like he wasn't gonna die. And most importantly, she trusted a magical talking albino cat with the rights to the rest of her life without asking any questions. An issue I'll touch on later. Starting to see how bad this sounds, but wait, there's worse. Despite being told by a girl to confess to him because she's going to confess to him soon, literally a warning, she then gets mad when she actually did it. After she starts going crazy because her body is now barely human because her soul is now on a soul gen. Despite the name being soul gen, she apparently didn't think the literal magical cat who can give girls magical power was exaggerating when it's literally named soul gen. After the whole going crazy session, she then refuses to literally get healed, knowing it will kill her because she's all of a sudden apathetic. Then she finally dies after a random man on a bus said something bad about his girlfriend, and she offs herself to also kill him. Yes, her breaking point was a random mean man. I won't take any more of your time with her. You should see why she sucks. Zero reasons to be a character, zero plot relevance, other than a plot device, zero enjoyability. Okay. Uh, what I will say about this is that I think, yeah, with this part, I just agree. Like, not completely, not to the letter, but I agree in general. Because I always felt that Sayaka was a character that had a lot of potential. Like, Arma said, she has a really cool character concept. Like, her story is very good conceptually, but like it's just stupid the more you think about it, like the execution. Because yeah, she literally had a warning that, oh no, if you do this, like, magical girl life isn't as like sunshine and rainbows as you thought. So, especially given that she already had that warning, her asking no questions out of this contract and just assuming things, especially when, again, the whole Soul Gen business was really fucking stupid. Again, I know that the show is about like manipulation of young people, but like it could have been done better, because imagine if she asks questions but they're not the right questions, or like Kyubey is intentionally or unintentionally vague about his answers, and we still get like the same outcome. We could have had like a story that says the same thing but much better executed. And the reasons why she goes crazy are so stupid as well. Oh no, my soul isn't a gen, I'm a monster. Do you look like a monster? No, but like my soul isn't a gen, I'm a monster. Like, okay, did anything about your body change? Does this have any like real consequences that might make you undesirable or disgust? No, but my soul is in a jam. Like, that was so whiny, man. Like, she goes on this again and again and again, and like her whole point is, oh my god, my soul is in a jam. I'm a most big deal. Like, do you really think that boy is going to care? Like, Madoka doesn't care. Your best friend doesn't give a shit. Like, she still loves you. Why do you care? Like, it's so stupid. Like, and again, like he said, her breaking point was just some mean dude in the fucking train. Like, imagine if we had an actual reason, like as to why she goes into despair. Imagine she doesn't just cry about like uh like the whole soldier and business, etc. Imagine she like does all this for him and like goes to confess to him, but the moment she goes, like he's already taken, and she realizes that she did all of this for someone who wasn't even interested in her, someone who has no plans of like reciprocating her feelings. Imagine she even like tries to emotionally blackmail him and say, no, I did this all for you, your arm is only better because of me, and he still doesn't give a shit. Like, that would have been depressing, bro. That would have hit hard. That would have even like related to real life, you know. And like taught a powerful lesson that yeah, just because you help out people, that doesn't entitle you to anything, and you need to accept that. But a lot of people don't, and that could be a compelling reason why Sayaka becomes a witch. And heck, it would even make like more sense, especially when she sees the mean man. Like, that could have worked if the rest of the story was like executed better, if there were more compelling reasons for her to like be so sad. But yeah, it's a good story in concept, but in execution I always felt like it was really ridiculous, like what happens with the whole Sayaka business. I never liked that part of the anime. um but now let's see like your comments. Okay. Okay, let's go. Anyway. Man, poor teachers that need to face the writing of those man, poor teachers that need to face the writing of those modern brats. Okay, imagine getting a degree and have to watch these ass reviews. Okay, I'm back. How is this going? She sacrifices herself for everyone, not just Homura. Yes, yes, that's the point. Oh, read then. I feel bad for you, Owe, for having to suffer by reading this fairs. The whole show that pushes her to make her sacrificial wish. Is this review serious? They are not saying she can't do it because she's a girl. 100 pounds Yuka's on the anime. Wish. Okay. In my eyes, she would break more than lock in. That's how she was characterized beforehand. That's it, really. I'll take the Eolo, the dark souls of hurricanes. But she does take action in the end. That's what happens. Yes. Like she does take action in the end. Like I said that. I think my opinion on Madoka and Homura are the weakest, but that's how I saw it. Also, Homura is the deuteragonist and she does take action. Yes, and I'm saying that when she does become the protagonist, when we go on her perspective, like the show is a lot more compelling, you know? At the end, wow, it's fucking nothing. What do you mean by that? Whatever. To you, on compelling to you. Hmm. How do I address this? Okay. So, I'm using like general writing tips like to explain my points because like obviously a lot of this is subjective. Like I'll agree with Muvelea there that a lot of my own criticisms are obviously subjective. But in general, when you're writing something, that's the like that's what is advised to you to make a compelling protagonist. A compelling protagonist is one that takes action, is not one that is dragged around by the story. You can make a compelling character like that, but not a compelling protagonist, at least in the eyes of most. There are some people who enjoy these types of protagonists, but in general, like you're advised to make your protagonist someone who takes action. And if you have a character that's more dragged by the plot, to make them a more secondary character, like a deuteragonist, you know? So I feel like Madoka and Homura's roles are kind of inverted, uh, though I do understand why they did that. So I am not advocating for like changing their roles from the beginning. I'm just saying that maybe that role could have gone to someone like Sayaka or to someone like Mami or Kyoko. Like having those characters that take more action be the protagonists would be better. But anyway. Yeah, okay. I'll just sit back and let it finish, then talk. Madoka also took action throwing Sayaka off the bridge, but sure. Um, yeah, okay. This is more of an exception that proves the rule. It's not that she never takes action, she even tries to take action, sometimes by asking to be a magical girl to Kyubei and being like, interrupted by Homura. So don't take this as me just saying things as absolutes, okay? Let me make sure, like, again, of what I'm saying. I'm talking about things in general terms. Madoka generally is a character that's more dragged by the plot instead of making her own decisions. Does she take action? Yes, but generally she doesn't. Generally, it's better for your protagonist to be someone who takes action instead of someone who's dragged by the plot. Can you make a character like a protagonist like that work, especially for some people? Yes, but in general, you're advised not to do that. So, like I understand and agree with your like criticisms, Muvelea, but just understands the perspective I'm taking, like why I'm saying those things and why like what exactly I mean with my arguments, okay? But anyway, I'm the weirdo for criticizing Yukiuna. No, no, no. I like that was just a joke. Like I do understand that like Yukiuna, like I said, I even agree with you. Like there were a lot of like missed opportunities with that story. Again, that was just a joke. Don't take that so seriously. Reaction, not action. I remember not getting why she was so worked up over her soul being outside her body, but now I have a better understanding of how messed up having not just your body but also soul messed with. Uh Again, this is all just from my perspective. Like it seems ridiculous to me. I think you make that criticism afterwards, and I will agree with you that this is more of a personal thing instead of a objective slight of the story. But I'm not going to change my mind on this. Like, if you think that this is compelling, if you think that this makes sense, like from your perspective, it makes sense, that's fine. But from mine, it just seems ridiculous to me. So let me make this perfectly clear. It really does seem ridiculous to me. It's a criticism I agree with. It's not necessarily objective. But so, yes, like what I'm saying doesn't deny or is even trying to deny uh, other perspectives like yours. Again, I understand. I'm just sharing my own, which agrees with Arma on this. They could have made her more proactive and still only let her be a Mahou Shoujo at the end. Yeah, that's another like good way to fix it. Not necessarily have Madoka not be uh like having Madoka not be the protagonist, but making her more proactive. Mufala even said there are a few moments where she either is or tries to be proactive, and like in general making Madoka like making those moments more frequent, making Madoka more active protagonist, I think would have made the story better. But anyway, it felt like the whole Pokemon thing when the writer straight up confessed they had no idea how to write an anime where Ash is already a champion. Okay, this is such an annoying criticism. Uh, QB QB doesn't tell them shit where he can get away with it. Again, the point is not like that this shouldn't have happened, like that Sayaka shouldn't have taken the deal, but it's just that, like you said, Kyubei doesn't tell them shit when he can get away with it. Imagine if Sayaka does make those questions. Imagine if she is a bit more careful, given that she understands that. But Kyubei, being Kyubei, actually still ends up answering her questions in a way that doesn't give much information, and that still leads to her making that decision. Like, again, it's not her making that decision that's the problem. I just felt that the execution could have been better. That's my point. She has relevance. I was exaggerating. Okay, it's called a soul gen, so she should assume that they literally ripped out your soul. There are no reasons to call it. There are other reasons to call it that. You only make that leap because you've seen the whole show. That's actually a good contestation. Like, please, and I'm not being facetious here. Like, I actually do think that is a good contestation to that point. Like, it being called a soul gen, what other conclusions could we draw for that? Like, maybe it's supposed to be not a more, maybe they interpreted it as not being a literal representation of the soul, and more like a more symbolic representation. Or maybe they thought, no, it's a gen connected to your soul, but not necessarily like your soul is in there. Like, I can think of these two, and this would be contestations as to why like they could have arrived at that idea. But I really like to hear like from you, like, what other conclusions do you think they could have drawn from the name? Because yeah, that is a good contestation, yes. Fun fact, Urobuchi straight up confessed he only made Sayaka suffer for fun. Yeah, of course he fucking did. Yeah, the stalking cat can give me magical power, but Soul Gens is apparently an exaggeration. That's what happens. Kyubei is vague and doesn't tell them things. Yes, that's the point. Folks, Sayaka was so annoying, bro. Okay. You may recall Kyubei famously didn't elaborate to Mami about how wishes work or how being a magical girl works, which directly leads to her making a bad wish. And again, that's not a problem with Mami because she's in a very Kyubei kind of exploits her because, well, kind of my ass. He does exploit her because he catches her in a situation where she that absolutely can't refuse. But Sayaka was given more time. She wasn't in a life or death situation where she made her wish or uh like as to become a magical girl. Again, it's not that Kyubey couldn't have fooled her. It's not that the scene itself in concept is bad. It's that I just think she should have made more questions and given the opportunity for Kyubey to be evasive in those questions, which allow the scene to continue in a more rational way. I think this would have even made the point stronger, uh, frankly. But anyway, people look at Sayaka and say Urobuchi is a flawless writer. I probably never make a deal like that. Yeah, it seems a lot of people agree with my perspective here. Now, obviously, that doesn't prove anything. Like Movelero's perspective is still valuable, even if some people in chat seems to agree more with my perspective. But it's interesting to see how many people, even people who apparently like that anime, also dislike Sayaka. So yeah, interesting. Oh, hello, Teto. Oh my god. Oh fuck. Anyway, fucking hell. There's so many comments. Okay. Because her body and soul were irreparably altered without her knowledge or consent. Jesus Christ. Hmm. Again, I understand her being sad about this. Her thinking that, oh, this is awful. This is like, uh, how do I say this? This is an awful thing that she feels horrified by this happening. My point is I don't understand how this would prevent her from confessing to that boy. Like her being horrified, her thinking that this is a horrible thing. Okay, I understand that. Why does that result in her not confessing? That's the parallel I can't make. And I do understand that, for example, if you have a different perspective on this, you can maybe say, oh, but I do understand her. Like in that situation, I would feel like a monster. I would feel like I shouldn't confess that this is not right. But from my perspective, I don't see how one thing leads to the other. Sure, you can be sad, you can be horrified, but how does that make you think that you are not worthy or that you shouldn't confess? That's the problem I have. Cool that you're okay with having your life outside your body. She's not. Again, just my point again. That's the point. Oh no, she's not okay. That her soul is on a gen. So what are the actual consequences? Yeah, I'm going to have to go against you, Otakam. There are a lot of consequences actually. Like if the soul gen, for example, gets too far away from her, like her body just goes limp. Like I'm pretty sure that she can't feel pain anymore, or she feels a lot reduced pain. Uh, because of the soul gen, which could lead to a feeling of strangeness in your own body. Um, so I'm pretty sure it makes it so she doesn't age or something like that. I'm not too sure on that. That's why I didn't comment. But yeah, I'm going to have to go against you, Otakami here. There are a lot of consequences. Yes. I'm pretty sure indeed the boy indeed does not like her back at the end, and it is about her thinking her healing him entitled her to him. Again, I think this could have been conveyed better. Again, it's not the concept that I'm criticizing; it's the execution. And again, I'm just criticizing it from my perspective. Okay. The consequences for one is that if someone takes her trinket, she fucking dies for one. Yes, exactly. I agree with Muvelaya. This was a pretty bad take, Otakami. goes unconscious. No, if the soul gen gets far away enough, she dies. And like there is even a very tense scene of Homura having to retrieve it, so that doesn't happen. So she doesn't go unconscious. She can actually die if that thing goes far away from her. So yes, there are definitely very serious consequences to that. You know. Anyway, you're getting way too emotional, but look, this anime that means a lot to a lot of people. Like getting emotional is not like a bad thing. They're not insulting anyone. They're not like being overly aggressive. They're just trying to make their point. Like being emotional, it's not a bad thing by itself. Okay. It seems evident from the explosive popularity of Madoka that most people were compelled by the show. I'm not saying that the show is uncompelling, I'm saying that Madoka is uncompelling. That's why I said that the show becomes a lot better when we go to the perspective of other characters, which does happen quite a lot. And in those situations is where the show becomes more compelling. Plus, even with Madoka there, we have other characters that do make decisions which could make the show more compelling to people despite the uncompelling protagonist. So my criticisms are not of the show itself, of then being uncompelling, and more of Madoka. You know, maybe I worded that badly, and if so, I apologize. But Madoka being uncompelling and her being the protagonist is a thing that takes away from the show. Doesn't make it necessarily bad, but especially because again, other characters are there that can kind of compensate for that. But in general, it would be better if Madoka herself, as the protagonist, was more proactive. That's more or less what I'm saying in my criticisms, and again, my opinion. Okay. Also, maybe don't make a deal with a talking cat monster that makes you use Soul Gen, Soul. And if someone takes my trinkets, I don't go unconscious against my will, and my life resides in my own body. Okay, again, I do agree with you. I'm not with Totakami there. You don't die unless the gen breaks or the now superhuman body gets 100% destroyed. No, no, you do. Like, you can die if the gen gets separated for too long. That's literally the point of that scene where Madoka throws Sayaka's soul gen and then, like, she goes limp. Kyubei even warns her that, oh, if the soul gen gets too far away for too long, they die. And that's what creates the tense scene with Homura. So, yeah, you're just wrong. Sorry. She was not told that her soul would be ripped out. I don't know, take a guess. Stop blaming the characters for being manipulated and exploited in a show about characters being exploited and manipulated. Again, is not like, how do I say this? It's not that they are exploited and manipulated that's the problem. I at least am criticizing the writing, saying that uh this could have been better. Like that the scene itself could have been done in a better way that would better make the point that they were trying to make. My point is not that, oh, they are at fault for this. No, my point is just that things could have been executed better for the sake of the story. Anyway. Being manipulated by low tier manipulation. For this criticisms for Sayaka being dumb as fuck for taking a contract like that, I think that's the whole point with Kyubei targeting weak and stupid candidates in order to fulfill his goals. You know what? That's a great point, Fisho. Like, if that's the justification for why Sayaka didn't ask more questions, like, if the point is that, like, the whole point is that she's supposed to be dumb, or maybe not even necessarily dumb, but naive due to her age, then there is a great counter criticism to what I was saying. Yes. Uh, Being manipulated isn't an excuse when it's that low tier rage bait. Come on, Arma, that's not even a fucking criticism. This so sad armor has poisoned all your brains. You have lost your neurons. You are posting cringe. So sad, sad for you. Moving your soul to the gen is not the issue. It's actually a huge advantage in combat. The real consequence is the fact that you straight up become a monster. But she didn't knew that at the time. So you yes, the whole point is that there are like advantages for combat, that's why it's made, but there are consequences for your life. And like I don't think that point is made badly. So yes, you got it, but yeah, that's the point, and that's not an issue. That's just a thing that the story tried to tell, and that I think was conveyed pretty well. Yeah, I know what Madoka is generally, and generally most people do like it. Uh, Again, I think you're still talking about the whole point of it being an uncompelling show, and again, that's not what I was trying to say. Like again, to expand on that, my point is that Madoka, the protagonist, being a less active character, makes the story less compelling. On the moments where she is the POV character, can other characters who are more active make the story more compelling for her? Yes. Can other characters, when assuming the role of the protagonist, then make the show more compelling? Yes. This does happen, and that's why uh, like people like the show. So I wasn't saying that, and I apologize if it seemed that way. But Madoka being the protagonist and being generally an uncompelling character due to her inaction hurts it. It doesn't make the show bad or uncompelling by itself, but it's definitely a point against it. That's my point. Become a monster if the gen's corrupted, whatever. You won't change your mind, no point talking. Again, some things are just better to agree to disagree. Because, again, I totally understand your perspective on this, and I even conceded to a few things. But yeah, I really don't get like how one thing results in the other. So yeah, if you want to uh how do I say this? If you want to leave this as a uh, agree to disagree kind of thing. I totally understand, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Are you a Gen 5 Pokemon fan? I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Sayaka's reaction would make more sense if she already knew about how witches are born, but she did not, hence why it feels like she's just crying over nothing. Uh, Again, that's another interesting way to, like, it could have been done. Yeah, no, there's no point trying to convince you. uh Again, I'm saying that I do understand your perspective, I just don't necessarily agree with everything. but, but yeah, again, if you are okay with leaving this like as a agree to disagree thing, then that's fine. If you can't emphasize with your body being irrevocably altered without your knowledge, like again, I can empathize with that in the sense of, oh, why is she crying? Like why is like how do I say this? Why is she disturbed by this? How that translates into her not wanting to confess is my problem. But anyway, okay. Manifest the power of your soul. Again, yeah, that is a pretty good like counter. Maybe they interpreted it differently and not due to the name, because the name, yes, it's vague and could like lead to different interpretations of it. So yeah, I will agree with you, Muvalea. There, you do make a good counter there. Yes, but anyway, why do you have to insult each other like that, Otakami? Like Muvele didn't insult anyone. Why are you being mean to them? Like, is this really necessary, guys? Are we really in a shouting match right now? Seriously? Like, I understand us disagreeing with things, but does this need to devolve into like people just insulting each other? Come on. But anyway, that would still alter my soul. I mean, yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is your soul. You know, that's the point. Like, just because it's a soul gen doesn't mean that it necessarily is your soul. Like, that's vague. That could be interpreted in a number of different ways. That's the point. The soul gen is literally a materialization of the soul. I thought they were all but explicit about this. Yes, they are after, like, Sayaka makes her deal. Like, they don't explicitly say this before she makes the deal, they say this after. And that's the point. Like, I'd still be concerned. Me too. Which is why, in general, I agree with that perspective. But I can understand that there's a counter, and a pretty interesting counter, especially because, like, we should judge this by what the characters would do and not what we would do. You know? Especially because there's a good point there that was made that Sayaka, like, is dumb. And that's kind of the point that Kyubei is, like, exploiting people in vulnerable situations in order to make his contracts. And yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. I'm like half paying attention. I like half pay attention. Are they beating your ass, Arma? Okay. Anyway. Sup, guys? Oh, wait. Literally said they would not change their mind. Tell me where I'm misreading that comment. Oh, for fuck's sake. How are you able to comment this much? Jesus Christ, I'll never be done with this. Okay, I can't like read all the comments. You guys comment way too fucking fast, okay? Uh Mainstream anime sensei, was I too much of a cheeky breath? Why are we acting so bratty to each other? Oh wait, correct your chat. I'm not doing that. But anyway, okay. How do I say this? Okay, you guys comment way too fast. Okay, so I'm trying to get through it, but I'll never get through this review if I do that. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to skip some of the comments. It seems like you guys already reached a conclusion there, and we kind of resolved the issues. Like, we understand each other better, from what I understand. So, like, I will just see this matter as taken care of and move on. Okay. Kyoko Sakura, this is what you call character assassination. The only character that seems well written gets killed because, of course, the plot demands the story need more depression. Uh, but only thing is but only thing it does is make you less engaged. Basic character overview: a magical girl whose dad was poor became a magical girl to help him, and then when he found out it was by literal mystical forces, he went mad to then and killed everyone excluding her. And yes, even himself. Finally, a good tragedy, you think to yourself. And an original one at that. Her fixation on food, her almost delinquent nature, and her times of softness all make her a wonderful character. She pushes us to realize how strong magical girls actually are after she dog walks Sayaka, who kills witches with ease and is nonchalant while still being an endearing character. So how can someone like that be ruined? Oh wait, this is a sad anime. Unrelated, but a trope in sad anime is the fact that they must kill off a character. Like, the flaw being it's unnecessary and actually hurts the story and adds what? And adds nothing. She's the poster child for why this trope sucks. She gave her life to save Sayaka. Okay, first note, while they did have a resonance scene, was more of a friendly thing. Dude, why are you dying? This is the third time a character died a death they could have easily lived, by the way. But at least Mami was off guard. At least Sayaka was depressed. She's mentally sane. Sakura never shows any signs of any poor mental health. While she has gone through stuff, it's not to the point to throw away all basic reasoning. Buddy, you are again supposed to be experienced. Kill Sayaka. You've done this for years and all of a sudden you start asking, can you save witches? This for a different paragraph, but oh my god, it's sickening. I'll ask you, the reader, a genuine question. Let's assume you fight literal embodiments of grief for 2 years. Would you ask before giving years of your life to battle? If you say yes, you probably find a plot hole in the series so massive that I can barely ignore it. No joke, even as I write this part about a character, the plot hole is so okay, the point stopped there. Okay. I don't agree with this because Sayaka is also one of my favorite characters, and pretty much every criticism here I feel was not good. Let me tell you why. Because one, she does have a death that feels like it was earned. Like Sayaka fought her best and still lost. It wasn't like she was like she one sec. It wasn't like she lost because of some bullshit. It wasn't like she lost because uh like the plot demanded that she lose, or because she lost because the fight wasn't executed well. None of that. Sayaka fought her best, and like she had to die to destroy the witch that Sayaka became, you know? Wait. Kyoko fought her best and had to die to destroy the witch that Sayaka had become, you know? And for the whole part of like, oh, why did she think that she could save witches? It's the whole point. Like, we had this character. The point is that Sayaka and Kyoko kind of alter themselves. They kind of serve to, they kind of change each other. Kyoko is this more idealistic person, while Sayaka, at least in the beginning, is more idealistic. And through interacting with Sayaka, with getting close to her, and with Madoka, especially seeing Madoka literally beg her, no, you're such a strong magical girl, please, can't you find a way to bring her back? Like, Kyoko actually allowed herself to be like influenced by that, to believe for a moment that she could save her, and that was her downfall. And again, it wasn't even like a bullshit downfall. She went down fighting, she tried her best, and when she did realize that she couldn't save her, she did just accept that she had to kill her, and died doing so because Sayaka became such a powerful witch. Like, I just don't agree with you on this. Like, Kyoko was a great character, and all these things for me make sense. Yeah. Okay, now to Homura. Homura, oh wow, she's a piece of work. Funny enough, she may be the best written, but equally the worst written. Anyway, same sad anime slop. Who is she? Her backstory happens nearing the end of the anime, and it's basically nerd girl gets saved by Madoka, becomes a magical girl, watches Madoka get killed, then rewinds time to do it all again so Madoka will be saved. Cool, amazing, original. There's also good LGBT representation. No, it isn't. In fact, I'd feel ashamed if such a character represented anything about me. First, the whole lesbian thing might be a random thing to give her slightly more depth or bait. There's no offense to any LGBT person, but like, it really just looks like bait. Okay, how? Well, take a character who never needed romance to work, slap it on despite having zero relevance, and also, if you wanna go look at a lot of female fans are lesbians. You see why I said bait. The anime is good at doing that, with first are not relationships. But I'm getting off topic. Let's finally end this character section. So she wants to save Madoka because she loves her. No, she's creepy. Yes, that's the point. The whole point of Homura is that she has a creepy fixation with Madoka. Like, from the moment she uh, is first saved, she falls in love with Madoka, or at least uh, is very infatuated by her from the get-go. And that's why she like keeps rewinding time again and again and again to save her. Like her being obsessive, her being creepy is like not a flaw. This is the point. No one rewinds time millions, like dozens, hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of times just to save someone. Most people would be like, "Oh, I tried my best. I went through all that shit 10 times in a row. Like, I just give up." Homura is not a common person. She is obsessed. She is like creepy. She is this person that like is infatuated with Madoka to an unhealthy degree. Like heck, the show even acknowledges it. I think there's going to be a part of this review where they say that she found the perfect reality, like where she was able to stop the witch, but she went back in time because Madoka died. Yes, that is the point. Like, the point is that she's obsessed. She doesn't want things to be better. She doesn't necessarily want to save anyone, really. Her whole thing is that she wants Madoka to survive. And that's the whole point. That's why rebellion exists. That's why, like, she becomes a witch at the end of that movie because Homura was never a good person. She is obsessed to an unhealthy degree, and that's the point of her character. And like what Madoka is able to do by the end is that she's able to utilize this bad thing for good. She's able to utilize all the times the universe has been reset by like Homura to like fuel her absurd wish and make it actually work. Again, how you understood that has a flaw, I have no idea. You were so close. You got the point. You understood the character, and now you going here and telling me that it's bad because like they did something that was unintended. Bro, that was intended. You got it. You got the point. Like you got the point and you don't even realize that you got the point. What the fuck? Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to continue reading this, but I already read this review, and what I'm going to say is this: like this whole section is like what's the point? The whole section is Arma understanding Homura's character and then not realizing that he understood Homura's character. You know? What what are you saying? Like, bro, you think people can love each other after months of time, bro? What the fuck? Like, are you talking about the review? Because yeah, like she became infatuated with Madoka, but oh, I think you're talking about after in the review because bro is going to flip out when he hears love at first sight because that is what happens. Like it is love at first sight, but even in that first cycle, she has a ton of time to interact with and to like be close to and to dedicate herself to Madoka. Like it is obsessive, it is exaggerated, it is unhealthy because that's the point. But yeah, you can understand how she got to that point. But anyway, so yeah, again, I'm going to read the rest of it, but the whole point is that Arma understood Homura's character, but he never understands that he did understand her character. That's more or less the point. But anyway, okay. Otakami, what the fuck? Moving on. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. We are given no exact time, but they didn't age much, so I'm gonna say 2 weeks. But you know what? I'll grant 2 months, since it won't help. First, we see Madoka never showing outwardly romantic feelings or anything to imply a relationship, so Homura is smiling. You never. Do you not know what unrequited love is? What? Anyway, second, even if it was 2 months, I don't see how you'd form an emotional bond so good in that time, seeing as they're just classmates. I know she doesn't hang out with her like that. She does. We have a couple scenes of that, even. What the fuck? Unless she's sleeping over her place daily. Do you not know what love at first sight is? Like, what? Again, and even then, like, not only is he wrong, uh, because you can fall in love with a person in a couple of months. Uh, but like they do like hang out together. We do get a few brief scenes of that. So again, this makes no sense. Anyway, heck, you don't even need to experience romance. I never experienced romance, but I can still understand that because I've been in love. But anyway. Oh, okay, okay. Moving on. Blah, blah, blah. In fact, the only romantic scene we see of them is in Homura's head. Again, unrequited love. It's a thing. Not even a flashback, bro. Uh, I'm in tears. You can't tell me this ain't weird. It is weird. That's the point. And Homura actually ruined everything. Point. If she had let Madoka die, the witch they were fighting was already killed, so Homura, while traumatized, could at least have a normal life again. But no, she had to loop time over and over again to save Madoka. You think a 14-year-old girl would give up after like the 20th time, but whatever. Do you not understand that? Again, I already made my point. Literally, the whole reason she can't stop is her fault. Yes. Mind you, she trusted the same cat that made her a magical girl. Worst of all, again, in love, good friends. The point is they had a very close relationship. Or at least, like Homura was deeply infatuated with no with Madoka. If they were like in love or not, like doesn't really matter. The point is that this still makes sense. People making fake romantic sexual scenarios about their crush in their head, weirdos. Uh, it isn't weird. A lot of people do that, but I'll say this: I never did it. Like this isn't me like trying to sound superior. I'm just saying that I never did that. If you did, good for you, and I do understand. But like uh, I never did it. That's my point. Anyway, blah 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 blah. Okay. Worst of all, she fails again. Is that the point of the story? Maybe. Not a good one. Obsessed teen girl goes back in time to save someone who literally told her not to try and save them and live a normal life. What the heck, man? Again, flawed character. That's the point. He, like, she is obsessed. She is like a person that has an unhealthy infatuation. So, again, that is the point. So yeah, this whole section is like uh Muvele, I do get that you're just trying to understand Arma, but like I really would prefer if people didn't just start assuming so like important oh, how young is Arma? 16. I really would uh I really would prefer if people didn't assume or start speculating things about like important aspect of other people like that without like solid evidence. Like if the person wants to come out themselves, that's fine. But I really hope, uh, I really would prefer if people didn't start making these assumptions about them. Again, I like understand that you mean no harm, but please refrain, okay? But anyway, Kyubey, the mascot of the series, like every other magical girl anime. Unlike many, his appeal comes from his hidden motives and him being an actual villain of the series, I guess. He isn't really evil. In fact, he's so morally gray, it's hard to get a real hate for him on this or dislike what he's doing. Again, that's because Kyubey is supposed to be like a very cold and calculating type. He isn't necessarily evil, he just doesn't care. Like, he sees humanity has cattle, has things that exist to die in order to keep the universe running. And, like, is that evil? Like, not necessarily, especially from his perspective, but it is obviously from our perspective, like really bad. And that's the point. He isn't supposed to be necessarily, oh, I'm an evil bad guy and I want to hurt people. No, he's more of a neutral, like the means justify the ends kind of character. He's a lot more complicated, and that's kind of his point. Yeah. We must remember, well, yes, they are minors. I suppose they get consent in a legal sense. He still never really forces them. He never really like makes the contract clear either. But never in the series have we seen him threaten anyone. And the only real exploitation we see is to Mami when she's obviously not in the mental state to consent properly. There's the exploitation again that he is clearly targeting like people in situations of fragility, not necessarily like as extreme as Mommy, but every single character he targets is in a very bad situation. He is a really exploitative type of character. Like he doesn't he is like a scammer, right? Oh, maybe I never really forced you to sign the contract, but I didn't like tell the whole truth either. So that's how I would define it. Like he is a scammer, you know? Again, Muvele, I don't think you did anything bad. Just please refrain, okay? Again, I know you meant no harm. I know you weren't trying to do anything bad. Just please don't, okay? That's all I'm saying. Uh, Also, y'all need to stop basing your opinions of fiction on stuff that the author says. The author can and will say whatever the fuck they want, even if it makes no sense or is deliberately false to troll you. Japanese authors do this constantly. I was about to like say your like criticize you, but yeah, fair, fair. Anyway, moving on. Another point is he's literally an alien. He wants to make sure the literal universe doesn't die, which is a pretty valid, seeing as it's the literal universe. This implies there are other species, meaning he's likely trying to save either his own race or other races. Again, the point is not, oh, he's a bad villain that wants to do evil. No, he's a more complex character than that. His true evil, you could say, is not caring. Like he never thinks, oh, maybe there is a better, more ethical solution to preserving the universe. No, like, oh, the universe needs like the deaths of little girls to continue. I see nothing wrong with this. Like that's the evil of the character. But anyway, blah 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 blah. Again, he's an alien, so it's up in the air. This leads to not being too evil, as many say, especially when the last point is the fact he never lied, but he never said the truth either. If they ask, he almost always answers while dodging the question. Worst of all, he isn't physically a threat, so they could ask as much as they wanted to. They got a straight answer. No, you can keep infinitely dodging a question. Like, the, this is just wrong, but okay. In fact, they could walk away and nothing would happen because, well, yes, he's annoying and can teleport. He can not force a contract. But again, he makes the contract seem appealing. Like, he doesn't disclose a lot of the bad sides while only saying the good stuff, you know? That's the point. Like, yeah, they could, if they could easily refuse him, but like the whole point is that he's not physically like forcing them. He is a manipulator character, you know? That's the point. But anyway, this leads to a simple point. He did nothing wrong. We have a Griffith enjoyer here. Anyway, literally just throw him out the window and go walk away. He may be annoying, but I'm sure you could get used to it enough to ignore his presence. Well, you do that, maybe start thinking of a good wish. A lot of girls make horrible wishes, so just pull a Madoka and ask for something crazy, which you could never do if you think about this for a solid week. Again, the only reason Madoka was able to pull that off is due to what Homura did. Like, that wish is generally not possible. It was only achievable due to the events of the story. Uh, what else? Yeah. So as a villain, he's way too morally gray to even count. More antagonist, but he isn't even against the MC since their suffering is self-caused. Again, that is the point. Like, this isn't a criticism. This is just you understanding the point and then like not realizing it, just like with Homura. But anyway. It's finally time for the worst offender in the series, realism. Oh yes, I do love my realism in like my show about magical girls fighting like against witches made from like abstract art styles. Oh yes, I do love that realism. But anyway, and yeah, Teto got my point. I'm not gonna waste any more time. I can't hold it back anymore. They're all idiots. Oh wow, you got the point again. Wow. Anyway, on a scale, it feels like a mix of mental retardation. Not even in a mean way, just like the story might as well infantilize them. They're 14. I say that to put into perspective. You need to actually need them to be mentally unstable. They are. Like, did you not watch what happened in the story? They are very mentally unstable throughout the whole fucking thing. Anyway, for the story to even work, because it just isn't natural. Again, they are. For example, tell me, please, please tell me how a cognitively functioning, critically thinking, mentally stable 14-year-old girl doesn't ask one question. They're not critically thinking, they're generally in situations of extreme stress, and they're absolutely not mentally stable. There, just found your answer. Anyway, you see a talking cat that doesn't use its mouth to speak, has no gender, floating golden rings on its strange ears, and has a storage compartment inside its back. What I just described sounds like a fever dream, right? Now, these fully functioning, soon to be adult girls, soon? It's like 4 years until they're like even legally adults, and like 11 years until they're biologically adults. Like, I don't see the soon there, but okay, who can vote. They can't vote yet. What? Oh, adults who can vote. Okay, fine. Ask almost no questions and take them with them. In anime, when something crazy happens, at least it's shown to be crazy. Again, I'm not going to address this. I already like made you like I already tackled that criticism. Good point there, son. And I addressed that. But anyway, like in-house Smile Precure, a pretty classic magical girl anime. At least our MC is freaked out by Candy at first. Aren't the girls freaked out by Cubey at first? I'm pretty sure they are, or am I misremembering? Anyway, Candy herself being a small being who has fluffy horns like a sheep and ran mixed together and skin pale as paper, which shows anything but normalcy. Others show shock and question what she is. Seems to glance over the magical cat. I mean, I would too if, like, the minute I saw them, like, a witch from hell was trying to kill me. Like, I think I'd be able to accept that pretty well in the circumstances. But anyway, blah blah blah, whatever. Uh, Seems to glance over a magical cat, or the fact that they have souls, which is scientific fact, which may cause an insane religious overhaul, maybe a few cults, or the fact they can transform into clothing, implying the ability to rearrange atoms, or how the cat has this power, or if witches can be saved, or what witches truly are. Again, they are generally situations of extreme stress, or like they're not they're not like all there mentally due to what's happening. And plus, they do ask these questions throughout the course of the show. They don't overload that in the beginning, but they do make that during the course of the story. But anyway. Oh my god. You literally Kayaba did nothing wrong because the SAO victims were killed by SAO, not Kayaba tier take. Yes, Kayaba, aka the I forgot villain. Oh, why did you do all this? I don't remember. Anyway. Oh, anyway, moving on. I can't take like sorry, I'm laughing too much, but it's not because of the review. It's because of it's because every time I remember like Sword Art Online, I just remember that like SAO abridged like that Gigak made. Then I remember like the villain just shouting like all desperate Kayaba. I'm sorry. Let me move on. Anyway. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Where was I? Or see how everything I just said is something any reasonable person would wonder, and they do throughout the course of the story. Not only that, if even one of these were asked, the entire series breaks apart like glass. Imagine this: Hey Cube, what does it mean to be a magical girl? Uh, I'm going to act like Cube and try to imagine like how he would weasel his way out of answering this. Hey Cube, what does it mean to be a magical girl? Uh, all this means is that you don like cute outfits, get powers, and fight witches. That's all. You use a soul gen, which takes the soul from your body and uses it like a battery. I mean, yes, it does do that, but this is all to like make you better at fighting. I'm pretty sure the Kyubey literally explains this, like when asked, and like uses that justification to make it seem better, which works at least halfway. So I don't know what his point there is. Like this actually occurs in the anime, but anyway, yeah. Now Sayaka never becomes a magical girl. No, like she becomes one because she's mentally unstable when she makes that wish. She is in a state of stress, of depression, of like being very concerned about the person she loves. Like I feel like she's emotionally compromised, which causes her to do things rashly. I think that's the point. Mm, I don't see that. Maybe this is the wrong question, but why did you pick a high schooler's review as the one to read? Because my point here is not to like tear Madoka Magica apart or to prove that it's bad. No, this is just a review that one of my subscribers sent to me, and they asked me, "Oh, can you read it on stream? Like, can you like evaluate? Can you discuss it? Like this is all at the person who wrote it request, you know? It's okay, son. I understand. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Where was I? Fuck it. Where was I? Uh, okay. Or Sakura asked about witches. In fact, Yubei was right. In the series, he never lies, and he never tells the whole truth either. Uh, Public humiliation ritual, lol. So you do that kind of thing. Neat. I try to like involve my subscribers in my streams as much as possible. Again, sometimes I can't because, like, for example, now I couldn't read all you guys' comments because you type too fast. But in general, I try my best to incorporate the subscribers into my channel. But so yeah, that's why I do this. But anyway, blah 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 blah, whatever. They never ask. Meaning the only way the story works is if you imply they are mentally impaired, not impaired but compromised, and can't think for more than 10 seconds about their situation. They do, it's just that they uh like do are thinking about different things, you know? But anyway. Seriously, if you put any normal teen girl here, they never do it. I feel like most teen girls would actually like probably do even worse than like Madoka Magica's characters. Like I feel like having been a teenager and thus having interacted with other teenagers, I can tell you that most teenagers would actually be even worse in this situation. Like they probably be even stupider. But anyway. What else? What else? Because they'd wonder why a talking cat is asking them to save the universe. And being logical, you'd either run away, ask why, or try to kill it. They ask why. Like it is like a thing that's developed. Again, you get the point now. But instead, let's count how many times they shown not to be realistic to shine even more light onto this hellfire of a show. The Homura Madoka thing makes no sense. I already addressed this. Sayaka makes no sense. Depends on the perspective there. Mami is too weak for her statements. Not necessarily. Just needed to be executed better. Sakura witches up too fast. No, she doesn't. Uh, it isn't even that. I just realized how embarrassing it is knowing this is low key a public humiliation ritual. Maybe I am the JJK fan. You know what? Like I think we already went over this enough. If Arma is feeling bad and doesn't want me to read through the rest of this, like I think um I should stop there. Like Arma themselves are realizing now that they were wrong about a lot of things, even though they did have. I do think that they did have some good points, and I do think that they did well. Like in the sense that they at least put themselves out there. They were not ashamed. They put effort into making this. Like they did make some good points. They argued then in the stream and like was even willing to let me read it. Like so I don't think Arma is a bad person for this, but like I do disagree a lot. No, finish it. It's a betterment. Criticism is a good thing. Okay, so if you want me to finish it, then let's continue. Blah 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 whatever. Uh, and Madoka is so bland, I didn't even give her a character entry. Do you see the flaws? Do you see how this anime is pure sticks and stones held together by art and dark scenes? It isn't dark, it's edgy. Anyway, it's poorly written, and worst of all, it's praised for being mediocre because it changed the genre. Being different doesn't make your story good. I mean, I do agree with that in concept at least. In an attempt to be different, it becomes basic. Basicness is what makes a story bad. Again, in concept, I agree. I just don't think it applies to Madoka Magica. And this story sure is a bad one. So take it as advice. Try to actually make a compelling cast of characters that don't get obliterated by a question a middle schooler would ask. Okay. So take it as advice. Okay, so you. No, I can't make that joke. Sorry. Like I was going to make a low tier god joke here, but given that, especially given that Arma is a teenager, no, I'm not gonna make that joke. Okay. I feel like this is a given. However, even if I grant they didn't ask, grant they are just like that, even if I grant everything is still unrealistic. Understand what I said before that they live in Japan, buddy, in a place where most of the population is either Buddhist, atheist, or believe in superstition. So even if I grant everything else, you expect me to believe they wouldn't be tweaking out? They are. They literally tweak out at the beginning. But anyway, if they are atheists, they casually have had their beliefs destroyed. If Buddhists, they casually just saw a spirit. Maybe we'll explain why they did this, but they obviously know it's an evil spirit after it got someone killed. Not really. Like they see mommy being turned into a magical girl by the spirits, and then uh, like a witch killing mommy. Like you can say that she died because she became a magical girl, but if she hadn't, even more people would have died because of the witch. So I can see your point, but I don't think it fully applies. But anyway. It's pretty wholesome seeing you guys like encourage armor like this. And making this into like not just oh let's shit on his opinion kind of thing, but has criticism for him to improve. And I really like am really glad that he's seeing like the criticisms and taking them to heart. This was a really good string. I'm really glad I made it. But anyway, uh and if superstitions do, you know how many myths exist and how evil spirits granting wishes? Be fair, if you see a cat talking about wishes in a place with that much folklore, I'm going to assume there's a literal evil yokai that's gonna curse me. I mean, there are plenty of good stories about like uh good entities granting wishes and riches and things onto people, so you have to consider that as well. I rest my case as to my hate. This anime unironically gets cleared by any competent writer, however, there's a final note to spring into. What even makes a good series? Now, this is purely opinionated but grounding works. To ground an opinion, you of course need to link it to the truth as much as possible. Now, why does this matter? Due to the fact that many times in the anime community commonly rejects any grounding. What? So while it is based on why I hate Madoka, let's get a grasp on what it's being compared to validate this hate. Three anime I will use to compare to MM. Smile Precure, well-known magical girl anime, Higurashi When They Cry, the time-wasting arc manga, and finally Bleach. Okay. Smile Precure comes into play first, as just like MM, both are popular magical girl anime. However, MM fails while Smile Precure doesn't. Characters. Any series which has no insanely complex themes or writing makes up for it with in a very simple way. One second. Uh, one used in comedy and slice of life to diverge from the fact that it lacks what you'd want in an engaging story, that being enjoyability and dynamics. Smile Precure starts off with a pretty silly main character, so it's easy to like her enough. Every character having a defined trait, such as Pop being an over serious yet cute character, allows the dynamics to flow. Everyone bouncing off the other in a way, despite its immature and even absurd nature, is able to be enjoyed for young children and it may be an adult with a smaller laugh, which either being genuine or ironic still conveys likability. Hmm. Yeah, this is a good assessment. Yeah. Okay. Madoka, of course, fails at this. In the first episode, she acts either like a blank slate or stereotypical shy anime girl, which actually gets annoying very fast. It's like, I get it, she's young and maybe introverted, but my goodness, it's the most non insulting way she's a loser. Buddy, have you ever read? I don't know. I hope this doesn't make the stream too serious, but have you ever read like uh Elliot Rogers' manifesto? Now that's a loser right there. Like if you think Madoka's a loser, you haven't seen an actual loser. But anyway. Blah 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 blah. And that isn't to say that she shouldn't have flaws, but seeing as your only thing is being stunned, shocked, afraid, or timid, your entire first appearance is a flaw. I mean, given what she goes through, the point is too easy. You get what I'm going to say. Now, could you say the same for SP? You could make an argument for it, I suppose, but I understand that you would still prove my point. The characters are forced to be this way because it's made for young girls. That is a shitty, like, justification. Like, no, the characters are made this way because, like that, like you said, that is a really good way to make enjoyable character dynamics. Like, it's made this way because it's trying to achieve something different. With different events and a different tone, etc. Anyway, you get the point. Blah blah blah, whatever. Even if I grant that this absurdity is just better than Madoka constantly being shy, again, at least one is entertaining while the other is just straight pitiful. This I can understand in like subjective way, yeah. But what about dynamics? Yeah, no, it fails in that too. Mami is alive for barely any time, so she feels more like she's just there. She had one slightly meaningful conversation with Madoka before fighting a witch, and that's it. The other barely talk, and what they do is just her being a teacher. A teacher student like relationship is still a dynamic. Like, anyway. You already know how much I hate Sayaka. Homura is so insanely edgy, so she fits basically nowhere. Not even going to address that. Like I at this point I think you all know why this is wrong. That's not saying dark is bad, it's saying they use her darkness so much she feels like Shadow the Hedgehog than the actual characters that are supposed to be there. No. For like half the series, all she does is drop one-liners, look cool and leave. What dynamics? The cool and mysterious character that we get to understand more later is a dynamic. Like objectively, that's a dynamic. Anyway, Sakura is good. I mean, she's constantly able to mix with anyone, making her the queen of enjoyability. Office worker Mahou Shoujo. Yes, I want office worker Mahou Shoujo. We did have that like on the. Like I was talking about this on the like ranking every waifu in Mahoako, right? That Michiko is the world's first magical woman. She isn't a magical girl, she's a magical woman. And yeah, she's great. I really hope more people make like magical woman characters because I know there are some in like some other dark magical girl anime, but I really hope we get to see more of that. We get to see more adult age magical girls, you know. But anyway, blah 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 blah. In this anime, so I have no critiques for her. In conclusion, where a more normal magical girl anime such as Smile Precure succeeds, MM fails, that being dynamics and enjoyability. Enjoyability is very subjective, so like I can get your point, but it's not. It's like what I was saying, or it's a more personal criticism, like the ones I was talking about before. Anyway, Bleach, you know it, you love it, I hope. In Bleach, no, seriously, please watch it. No, I'm not going to watch Bleach. Like, if I do get into Bleach again, I'm going to read the manga because fuck filler. But anyway, the subject of hopelessness, determination, loss, and love come up. Unlike MM, Bleach perfect stand, and to spare your time, let's rapid fire this round. Bleach shows determination by Maho Shoujo Misoji. One sec. Let me just add this to like the notepad because someone made a really interesting recommendation and I want to save it. Just a second, guys. I'll get right back into that. Uh, uh, okay, you convinced me. I'll tell you how it goes. I'm hosting the tournament on Wednesday. Wait, what? What tournament? What's happening? Uh, is that the kind of thing people who don't play shooters can pick up fast? I was thinking about having a tournament for it at my school for the game. Oh, okay, okay. Shooter tournament. Okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Let me just put this here and let's continue. Sorry, you guys made some pretty. You guys recommended me some pretty cool stuff, so I had to like register it. But anyway, Bleach shows determination by Ichigo fighting despite knowing he's probably going to die due to his unrelating nature. That is, like, I already talked about this, but that's a trope I really like, is the hopeless battle. So yeah, the show does this quite well, and I really like its utilization of the trope too. Yeah. Anyway, MM shows it with Homura, and I've already said it comes off more like obsession because it is obsession. Bleach shows hopelessness, as when Ichigo fights. I can't read that. We see the main character we know for over 600 chapters to be strong willed and never giving up, except the fact that he will die and is truly in a state of sheer depression, tears, and utter despair. MM again, Homura is a good representation of it, since she can never save Madoka, but she can't give up and is forced to suffer. Too bad we barely know the girl, so while you could debate feeling something, it has way less impact, especially when, for most of the show, she's a pretty big asshole. I don't. Yeah, I just don't agree with that. But anyway. While Bleach conveys law, the problem with this is that when he's being positive about shows, I think he's making some actually pretty good and pretty good points that are intended. It's just when it comes back to Madoka, like that things fall apart. Like I actually agree with everything he said about Smile, Precure, and Bleach, for example. But anyway, while Bleach conveys loss to Ichigo's sorrow, a less energetic nature when talking about his late mother. Um, his actual state of helplessness when he was betrayed paid off because he is well known by the audience, and it's a shift that, while sudden, is not unwelcome due to the nature of the show, and adds a layer to our MC. MM does not, because we barely know these people as deeply. Again, you can kind of, this isn't a good point because, like, I'm not saying that either Bleach or Madoka Magica necessarily does this, but it's pretty well known that you can spend 100 chapters with a character and still not care if they are badly written, and spend like a minute with a character and already get to like care because they're amazingly written. So this, I don't think, is a good point. But anyway. MM, okay. And it's kind of glossed over the fact fast. In fact, Mommy dying got shrugged off in one episode. Doesn't it affect then for like multiple episodes where they're all depressed and like we deal with the consequences of her dying? What? Anyway, well, Ichigo and his mom took a few for him to finally gain clarity. The worst being Madoka does not mature, but Ichigo does when faced with loss. She literally makes a whole wish based on all she experiences throughout the anime. Whatever, we already went through this. Anyway. Last, love. Bleach has an interesting yet amazing view of love through the series, showing different ways goofy, annoying, or even tragic. In this case, you can use Zangetsu or Orihime to show it. Ichigo and Orihime are well acquainted and even friends. During different arcs, we see them become more and more close until the Arrancar arc, where in his desire to protect Orihime, he becomes a Vasto Lord Hollow and went berserk even after his death. After the series going on to have kids with her, lol. Zangetsu shows it in uh, a far more tragic way because in the end he always wanted to protect Ichigo, but he never truly can, making him have to get way more violent or even crazy at times. But in the end, he truly loved Ichigo. He wanted Ichigo to be strong, to not fight, and to have a normal life. But when push comes to shove, he sacrifices morals so Ichigo could win against the strongest villain at the time, knowing what would happen. That is what I call love. Unlike in MM, where we have Sayaka getting jealous over a person who, mind you, she never confessed to when given the chance. Again, the problem is that like you're comparing two different things. You're comparing like a mutual and like respectful love to unrequited love. Like both of these exist, and what Madoka is trying to convey is like is a lot of the consequences of unrequited love and what it can drive people to do. While Bleach is more like portraying love more positively, especially when it's mutual love and what how much better it can do for people. But anyway, okay. Uh, who, mind you, she never confessed to, and when given a chance, never showed romantic feelings. Uh, Look, fair, but you get my point, okay, Armor? Like, I think you get my point that like both shows are trying to portray love in different ways, but like and are trying to achieve different things. Like I'll take the L. That's true. Like that was retarded of me, but yeah, you get my overall point that both shows are trying to show different types of love. You know, that's more my point. Sorry, but like moving on. Blah blah blah, whatever, whatever. Uh, or Homura's sacrifice for Madoka, which was actually purely selfish in nature, because Madoka literally told her she's good off that. I think the issue is, even in deep themes such as this, Madoka gets outclassed, but what about in its own game? No, because again, Madoka is trying to do something different. Anyway. And it seems like you guys totally lost the plot and are now just talking about Toho, which fair, but I really prefer if we stayed on topic. Again, like I understand that maybe you already commented everything you wanted to, but no, whatever. Sorry, sorry. Let's just continue. Uh, I can finally talk about Higurashi, in particular the time wasting arc. Hale has one of the best horror visual novels ever, it needs no introduction. It comes from the fact that it goes from a cute art style with bubbly characters to straight up murder and horror, so it's perfect for an MM comparison. Jesus Christ, my throat is killing me. Hold on. Let me just drink a bit of water and then I'll continue, okay? It's fine, son. I just wish, like, we could get more back in topic. Like, ranting about Toho isn't bad, but especially if you don't have much else to comment about what Arma's saying, but really would prefer. Again, personal preference that we remain on topic as much as possible. Anyway, one sec. Please do, Big Pew. I think this is better discussed there. Okay. Arma, why are you being so self destructive? Damn. Because despite being so flawed at times, I'm a perfectionist. I quite literally want to stab my guts out. Okay. See how bad your writing is by the goat is quite painful. Okay. Uh, Calm down, kid. That's a part of learning, which another person reading, you can better yourself. What are your flaws and what needs fixing? Okay. Uh, Holy, my writing sucks. Okay. Office worker, Maho Shoujo. Uh, I want to take a picture so I can look back and said I hosted a Toho tournament at school. XD. Okay. Uh, Off topic, but I may become a Nero Mirakamo. No, Nero Mikamo fan artist. I'm crazy over that tomboy shorty. Maybe one day I'll write a whole essay about my love for Nero and send it on a community post. Better yet, send it to me and we'll make a like stream like this about it. Okay, I'm just reading a few comments before continuing. Okay, because I feel like I haven't been reading comments lately. Like not reading everything is fine, but I feel like I should read more of them. So I'm going to be doing that a bit before we finally finish this off. Okay. Uh, Toho reference, blah blah blah. I realized partly I was blindly hating it. It's okay, or dear JJK fan. I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Uh, LTG mod split every atom in his body. My eyes have been opened by love. Without love, it cannot be seen. This essay was written with pure hate, and I'm starting to see it doesn't hold up. Uh, how old is that review, Arma? Okay. My advice to Arma, don't give up on being a critic, is how you learn to really love things. Yeah, thanks for sending this. Arma is inspiring. I kind of want to write something like this about fan fiction, about fiction I hate. Again, if you do, Big Pew, please send it to me and we can do another one of these. Arma, I hope you're not taking the chat seriously. It's all in good fun. Some of us, especially me, are just shit posting for shits and giggles instead of writing actual arguments. Okay? Again, I hope I'm not really coming across as really angry with you. I think it's all in good fun. Even when I say I'm going to turn your bone marrow into flour and your gizzard to sausage, just a joke. I mean, he worked a lot for this essay too. That's fair. Uh, it isn't even that. I just realized how embarrassing it is knowing this low key a public humiliation ritual. Maybe I am the JJK fan. Happens to the best of us. No, finish it. It's a betterment. Criticism is a good thing, and I'm happy for genuine engagement. Yeah, better end it. Kid even changed his profile pic. Nah, he told me to continue, so I will. Now that's balls. Yeah, helps you leave the echo chamber. Pretty based of you, Arma. Exactly. Good on you. Looking back at my older writing, OA isn't even insulting me. It's just so bad, lol. Okay. Also, I like the open forum to discuss each other's opinions regardless of the validity of them. He wrote it and wanted OA to read it on stream. That was it. Appreciate it. Realize I made schizo posting. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I read quite a bit, and I should get back into topics. So let's continue. Yeah, I'll get back to throwing tomatoes at Arma. Points at Arma shoes. What are those? Jordans. Arma. Actually have Jordans, low. Do one of these for Simple Symphogear Season 1? Yeah, sure. OMG, post your art of Neru. I'm going to Neru all over it, respectfully. Yeah, I really would wish you would do that as well. Like, post it on like the community post, please. OMG, I'm not ready for the Symphogear review. The review was made in October of last year. Okay. Now let's continue. I can find. Okay, I already read that. Is Symphogear any good? At least I liked it. So, uh, like, if that means anything to you, there's that. Because of his name, I keep imagining Arma as Armors from Legend of Zelda. Lol. Anyway. Okay, I already read that. Let's truly think about both series dealing with horror and the trope of cute to horrific. Higurashi does this very well by easing you in and engaging you with the characters. Our MC is established to have a wife and child soon, allowing us to know he's a pretty rounded life and he works as a detective. Doing this allows for us to already make images about who he is and why we should care. And then so you're just disproving your previous point. Very good. Anyway, and then getting assigned to this mission of the village, he meets the main girl, Rika, who is a cute young girl. The imagery used is showing the overall peace of the village, how bubbly the girl is, and allows us to already start connecting since the first chapter. They both have established their goals, wants, background info, and actual presence. So then, when Rika actually shows signs of a sudden switch up, we actually care a bit because we know how her well enough to care. Isn't this the cute girl that just wanted to save her village? The MC taking this information in is equally important. He actually thinks about the issue and starts thinking about any sacrifice he may have to make. Again, the MC in this is an adult man, and the MC in Madoka Magica a teenage girl, so completely different levels of maturity and completely different circumstances. Again, he's also a professional, so again, the comparison doesn't work too well here because you're comparing the reaction of uh, well trained and emotionally stable adults to something uh to a situation that, while still like horrific in its own way, is a lot less serious than the witches in Madoka Magica. And that situation is being handled by uh like emotionally compromised teenage girls. So again, that's why this criticism doesn't work. But anyway, in the revised one, I use the MC from the main series. His name starts with a K. Yeah, that's a much better comparison. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. He actually thinks about the issue and starts thinking about any sacrifice he may have to make, showing reliability as well. So again, we care because now we know he's a reasonably lovable man going through some hard times, especially with the knowledge he has a pregnant wife at home. So in two chapters, which are all around the average anime episode, depending on the pacing, we establish who they are, why to care, and why it's bad with enough mystery to haunt the reader. Is it ghosts? Is she being groomed? Why is he the only one who can see this happening? Will he survive? All this leads to a satisfying want to continue reading like any media should. So why does MM fail? MM on the other hand gives us Madoka's Mon, which is one solid reason, however after this, nothing really. Sayaka is herself, so you can brush that off. We aren't told much actually to even care. And while Homura helps, she's way too on the nose edgy. I've already said it, but again, looking at a girl in a hallway and saying words that don't make sense until the last episode doesn't make you cool, since unlike Higurashi, where the MC actually contemplates this and gives us actual commentary, Madoka again acts like nothing happened, and worst of all, Higurashi makes us question because it's been an anomaly since the start. MM has the classic dream and then wake up to reality trope. Two very overdone tropes in media to attempt mystery versus an actual good way to establish the main plot in one chapter. It's just brutal, man. Like, we know why the MC in Higurashi is important, but Madoka, we just have Homura talking about straight nothing. This is even touching on the cute horror trope because the horror Higurashi literally brain numbing and more psychological and ominous. While MM, sure, mommy died, but it was so avoidable who was actually freaked out. Shockingly, yes, but in a way, it's just shock. No one cares. Again, we are given reasons to care. We are like we developed a relationship for a good 2 to 3 episodes of Mami with the girls, and we establish a connection of teacher and students between them. We learn more about the nature of magical girls and about Mami's circumstances, like individually. Um, and her death is so sudden that it again comes across as shock, but it's shock with purpose. Like, it tells us a lot about the world, and like, it works not just because of the violent imagery, it works because at that point we have a relationship between mommy and the other girls that gets us to care. Hearing me say trope makes me understand, feel like a 4chaner. By cute horror, I mean attachment and casualness before dropping a bomb. Again, this is why I swapped to the main arcs in Higurashi instead of this arc. Okay. So you're saying that, like, no, but I still defend that it makes sense that we do get attached enough to care. I do think that Higurashi personally does this better than Madoka Magica, but I don't think Madoka Magica does a bad job. But anyway, uh, and yeah, the whole last part of this is just very cringe. But still, Arma told me to go to the end, so let's get to this. Honestly, why is it so popular, you may ask? If it's so trash, why does everyone love it? The anime fan base sucks. That's why. Seeing as it was originally coined when anime was hated, it's no surprise people looked at it as losers. Made a pretty sucky fan base. What's even the point there? Like, it was coined when anime was hated. There's no surprise people looked at as losers. Made a pretty sucky fan base. So people looking at them as losers made it a pretty bad fan base. What? Anyway. Stop, please. Arma. Okay, okay, I won't touch on. Okay, play fair. No more Arma bullying. Okay. It doesn't even the to spoil things. The last part is just Arma crashing out. Doesn't even have anything to do with the show. So we'll be stopping there. And to make things like at least somewhat better, let me just go here. Yay, cute girls in swimsuits. Yay. Okay. Bro was defeated by his own creation. It's so dang cringe, I can't. Lamau. Okay. Can't believe Arma's fucking dead. But yeah, in general, like, I'm really happy that Arma sent this to me. Like, it was really interesting reading and thinking about it. And it was even more interesting to like talk to you guys. We didn't argue, we didn't agree with a lot of the things. We argued a lot. It almost turned like into a shouting match, which I didn't like. But in general, I think this was a very like I think this was a good string. I think it added a lot to the discussion. I think like it served for both Arma to realize his mistakes and become a better writer in the future. Uh and like it gave us an opportunity to both like acknowledge some of the bad points that Madoka Magica has, because while it is a good anime, like yes, like there are a few flaws, especially like in a more personal, like subjective type of way as well. And it was good to discuss those as well. And so, in general, I think it was a good stream. Like a good, this was a good opportunity that I think, uh, like we added a lot and invited a lot of positive and useful discussion. But yeah, uh, Madoka, that swimsuit is too mature for what? Oh. Son, what the fuck are you? Where is Sakura? Wait. Let me see something. I'm pretty sure I have this here. Just hold on a moment. Did I not download that? Fucking hell. Okay, I remember seeing like swimsuit picture that had like Sakura there, but yeah, I decided ultimately on this one that doesn't have her there. I'm really sorry. Didi Blood and have you seen her and Iroha swimsuits in Magi Record? Actually crazy. Oh, Magia Records. Okay. Oe Sensei, please. I'm not gonna do that. What a beautifully abominable word. Anyway, we should do this more if you have time with university and we have enough creative fuel to send you essays. Like university isn't the main issue there. Like the main issue is like my time to prepare these. Like for example, if people send me like topics or like things to read or like things like that, if I'm just reading and discussing something that someone else made and just wants me to review, that's no problem. Even with university I can still do that. What university may make more difficult is me actually making like those presentations, like those slide presentations for the waifu like lists, like gathering topics for the podcast, or like writing my own fan fictions and stories. That's what the university is gonna make more difficult. But if you just send in your own writing and want me to review it on stream, like that's perfectly fine. Like university will absolutely not interfere with that. But anyway, why are you like this? Like I made this specifically clear. No political jokes. Like come on, guys. Please, please, for the love of God. Like no Charlie Kirk, no like Israeli like stuff. Like I get that you're just joking, but please, like don't do that. Like there's an actual rule here. I don't want you to just start excluding messages or like whatever, but really just let me be serious here for a moment. Please don't make jokes like that, okay? Like I really don't. I know that it's just jokes, but this tends to derail things and make things needlessly controversial, so please don't, okay? Cool. uh Fucking hell. Yeah, Arma has the like right idea here. And Kirk, that guy from Star Trek, yeah, you know what? Yes, that's who they're talking about. Yes, my political belief is that we should adopt Mezugakism, evil book lolly. Uh, I feel like we would make insane jokes if we did. Anyway, but now I think it's a good time to end stream. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully, we can do things like something like this again in the future. Uh, as well as like in addition to the podcasts and the normal anime discussions and the rankings and stuff. But for now, we're going to like end things for today. Thanks for watching and bye. I mandate that everyone, especially obscure anime, play Arknights every day. You can fuck off. But now, without further